In today's class, we are going to discuss about pharmacokinetics in detail. So if you remember, in the last class, we had seen very briefly about the definition of pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics. Now in today's class, we will see in detail about pharmacokinetics, what is the definition of pharmacokinetics again, and then what are the different factors which are responsible for affecting the pharmacokinetics. For example, in simple words, as I told you in the last class, pharmacokinetics is nothing but what the body does to the drug. So when a drug enters the body, what is body doing to the drug is known as pharmacokinetics. Now what does the body do? It does four things to the drug. A, D, M, E. Absorption, distribution, metabolism and excretion. So these are the four things that the body does to the drug. So in today's class, we are going to see in detail about each category, that is absorption, and what are the factors which affect the absorption. Similarly, distribution, metabolism and excretion, and what are the different factors which affect these criteria. So pharmacokinetics is the quantitative study of drug movement in, through, and out of the body. It includes A, D, M, E, that is absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion. So these four things constitutes the pharmacokinetics of a drug. For example, if we are studying the pharmacokinetics of Panadol, so what are we going to study in that? We are going to study absorption, that is how will Panadol enter the body. Then followed by distribution. Where will Panadol go after it enters the body? Then metabolism. How is Panadol broken down? Followed by excretion. How will Panadol exit the body? So any drug, the pharmacokinetics of any drug, be it Panadol or any other drug, these things will be covered under pharmacokinetics. In absorption, we will see how it will enter the body and how it is absorbed into the body. Then where is it distributed? Then how it is broken down? Then from where is it exited or excreted from the body? So this constitutes the pharmacokinetics of any drug. So first coming to absorption. Absorption in simple word means what? The absorption or the movement of drug into the circulation. From where? From the site of administration. So absorption is nothing but the movement of drug from the site of administration into the circulation. That is known as absorption. Now what are the different factors that are affecting absorption? So the rate and the total amount of drug absorbed depends upon the following factors: the total amount of drug that is absorbed and how fast or how slow it is going to be absorbed. That depends upon the following factors: the biological factors, the physicochemical factors, and the pharmaceutical factors. So these three factors determine how much amount of drug will be absorbed and how fast or how slow, that is the rate of absorption, will be determined by these three factors. Now within the biological factors we have passage of drug through biological membrane. How the drug is able to cross the different biological membranes of the body. Biological membrane is nothing but cell membranes or different coverings which protect the cell from any toxic substances. Site of absorption. Where is the site of absorption? Whether it is stomach or intestine, etc. Presence of food. What is food doing? Whether it is increasing the absorption or decreasing the absorption. Route of administration. Which route of administration is causing an increase in absorption or a quick absorption? Which route of administration may cause a delay in the absorption? So these are the factors which are classified under the biological factor. Physicochemical factors means physical and chemical properties, that is lipid solubility, whether the drug is soluble, lipid soluble, dissolution rate, at what rate the drug is becoming a solution in the body, and viscosity, whether the drug is very thick or very thin nature. Then pharmaceutical factors. Pharmaceutical factors includes aqueous solutions or solid form, whether the medication is in aqueous form or whether it is in a solid form. So we are going to see in detail about these factors which might influence the absorption, the rate and the amount of drug absorbed. Coming to the first category, that is the biological factors. Within the biological factors, we have passage of drug through biological membrane. So as I told you, a biological membrane is nothing but a membrane, or you can say it is a cell membrane which covers the cell and protects the cell from any toxic substances. So how? After administration of the drug, it has to reach the site of action to produce a biological effect. So on the way, the drug has to cross many different biological membranes to reach the site of action. So if a drug is taken by oral route and if it is a painkiller, so it has to reach the site of action to produce its biological effect. For example, if we are taking a painkiller for knee pain, so the drug is taken orally. So from the alimentary tract, it has to reach the site of action to reduce pain. So reduction of pain is nothing but the biological effect. So in order to reach the site of action, the drug has to cross many different biological membranes. If the drug is quick in crossing the biological membrane and reaching the site of action, then it is said that it is having a quick action. The next is site of absorption, from where the drug is being absorbed, whether it is absorbed locally in the mouth or stomach or intestines or colon. So these are the criteria which can change the absorption rate of the drug. If the drug is absorbed from the mouth, it will be a little quick absorption. But if it has to go to the stomach, then it has to be a weak acid to be absorbed from the stomach. Similarly, intestines, weak bases are quickly absorbed from the intestines. Next is presence of food. In majority of the cases, presence of food usually reduces the rate of absorption. But there are certain drugs which might cause irritation in the stomach. So they are prescribed to be taken along with food or just before food. So in majority of the cases, food can reduce the rate of absorption of a drug. Next is route of administration. Different route of administration shows different rate of absorption. So oral route might have a lesser rate of absorption when compared to the intravenous route, because intravenous route is directly going into the blood, whereas oral route has to cross the biological membrane, it has to undergo first pass metabolism and then absorb and then reach the site of action. So these are the different biological factors. Next, coming to physicochemical factors. The first one is lipid solubility. So as I told you, weak acids, if the drug is a weak acid, it will be easily absorbed in the stomach due to low pH of the stomach. Stomach is very acidic, so weak acids are easily absorbed in the stomach. And weak base, the drug is a weak base, it is quickly absorbed in the intestines because intestine is basic in nature, it has a high pH. Next is dissolution rate. Now dissolution rate means how the solid drug, the tablet, is dissolving itself in the body, how quickly it is turning from a solid to a liquid state. Because if the drug has to be absorbed in the body, first the solid has to be broken down and then it has to be changed into a liquid form and then it has to be absorbed. So dissolution rate means drugs in solid dosage form when administered will first change to a drug solution in the body. So that solid dosage form must be first changed to a solution and then it has to be absorbed. Viscosity. Viscosity also limits the dissolution rate. For example, if the drug is becoming very viscous, viscous means thick. Viscosity means thick, or you can say sticky. So if the drug is becoming very thick or sticky, then it is very difficult for it to dissolve, right? So if the drug is very thin and clear, it will be easily dissolved. But if it is very thick and sticky, then the dissolution rate will be slow. Thereby, it might affect the absorption. Next, coming to pharmaceutical factors. There are two factors, aqueous solutions and solid forms. Aqueous solutions means the liquid forms. So these solutions are more quickly absorbed, okay, like the tonics or cough syrups, etc. They are aqueous solution. They will be easily absorbed because they not be broken down and then changed to a solution form. Whereas the solid forms such as powders, tablets or capsules, if the medication is in any of these three forms, then what it has to do? It has to be first broken down into small particles, that is known as disintegration. After that, it has to be made into a solution, that is known as dissolution. So these two-step procedure has to take place and then after that it will be absorbed. So absorption of powders depends upon the particle size and the dissolution rate. If the size of each small particle is very big, then it will take longer time to get absorbed. Whereas if the particles are very fine, then it will take less time to get absorbed. Similarly, absorption of capsules. It depends upon the type of capsule. Hard capsules dissolve readily in the gastrointestinal tract when compared to the soft capsules. So you know that capsules are of two types, hard gelatin capsules, soft gelatin capsules. So if you compare hard and soft, the hard will readily dissolve in the GIT when compared to the soft capsules. Absorption of tablets. Now tablet has to disintegrate into granules and then into a solution by dissolution and then it has to be absorbed. So it is a two-step process. First, the tablet has to disintegrate into small fine particles. Then it has to be dissoluted, or it has to form a solution, and then it will be absorbed in the body. So tablets might have a slower absorption when compared to powders. Next, coming to bioavailability. So what is bioavailability? Availability means how much is available. Bioavailability means the fraction of drug, the unchanged drug that enters the circulation after administration is known as bioavailability. So in the last class, I told you first pass metabolism reduces the bioavailability. So what is bioavailability? Bioavailability means the unchanged form of drug which is available to produce action after it is undergoing the first pass metabolism. How much drug is available after undergoing the first pass metabolism? That is known as bioavailability. The drug which is entering the systemic circulation and the drug which is about to produce an action is known as bioavailability. So if you see the definition, it is the fraction of unchanged drug that enters the systemic circulation after administration and becomes available to produce its action. Now, intravenous route will have 100% bioavailability because there is no hassle of undergoing first pass metabolism, no hassle of crossing the liver and breaking down into the particles in the liver. So intravenous IV route is having 100% bioavailability, whereas the oral route when compared to the IV route will have less bioavailability. That means less drug will reach the systemic circulation to produce action after oral administration because the drug might be incompletely absorbed or the absorbed drug may undergo first pass metabolism. So these things might take place in the oral route which might reduce the bioavailability of the drug after oral administration. Now, what factors affect the bioavailability? There are certain factors which can either increase or decrease the bioavailability. The first important factor is blood flow to absorptive sites. So if there is too much of blood flow to the site from where the drug has to be absorbed, then the bioavailability will be more because more drug will be taken into the blood. For example, intestines has greater blood flow than stomach. So the drugs which are broken down and absorbed from the intestine will have bioavailability when compared to the drugs which are broken down into in the stomach. Surface area for absorption. In the intestine, we have small microvilli. Microvilli are nothing but small finger-like projections which are present in the intestine. So like this, small finger-like projections are present in the intestine. So these are known as microvilli. Now these microvilli are giving a greater surface area for absorption when compared to a straight intestine. So that might affect the absorption. Sorry, that might affect the absorption and in turn it might affect the bioavailability. Next, coming to the rate of gastric emptying. Gastric emptying means what? How fast the gastric contents are emptied. So fast, if the gastric emptying is rapid, then fast transit to the intestine. So the drug will go very quickly to the intestine. Then pH of the gut. As I told you, weak acids are quickly absorbed from the stomach because the stomach has low pH, and weak bases are quickly absorbed from the intestine because the intestine has high pH. Intestinal motility. If the intestine is having increased motility, motility means the peristaltic movement. So it might cause diarrhea, and diarrhea reduces the absorption because the drug might be washed out of the body. Drug interactions. Two drugs can interact with each other. They might either increase the bioavailability or they might act opposite to each other and decrease the absorption of each other. So we will see that in detail in pharmacodynamics. So drug interaction also has an effect on bioavailability. Now food. Food usually cause slow absorption because there will be slow gastric emptying because food is present, then the drug is going, food has to be digested, broken down. So it takes a long time. So generally it causes slow absorption due to the presence of food. Next, followed by the distribution. Now what do we mean distribution? After the drug is absorbed, now the drug has entered the systemic circulation, either from the stomach or the intestine or from the mouth, and it has crossed the liver, the first pass metabolism and bioavailability, how much drug has to enter into the systemic circulation. Finally, it has reached the systemic circulation. That means now the drug is in the blood. From the blood, where is it going to be distributed? The drug is distributed into different body fluids, uh, interstitial fluid, cerebrospinal fluid, different gastrointestinal tract fluid, etc. Drug distribution depends on the following factors. So from the blood, it has to be distributed, and it mostly gets distributed in the body fluids. So what are the factors which can affect the distribution of the drug? Now for the drug to get distributed into different fluids of the body, it has to bind to different proteins. Now the drug is new in the body. It does not know where to go. So it takes the help of plasma proteins which are already present in the body. So it binds to the plasma protein and moves into different body fluids. For example, if the drug is acidic in nature, it binds to the protein which is known as albumin. If the drug is basic in nature, it binds to the protein which is known as glycoprotein. These are the two proteins to which majority of the drugs will bind. And they also bind to other plasma proteins such as ceruloplasmin and transcortin, but to a smaller extent. Majority they bind to albumin or glycoprotein, and to a smaller extent they bind to ceruloplasmin and transcortin. The drug, it takes the help of plasma protein to get distributed in the body. Blood-brain barrier and placental barrier. Now in the body we have different barriers present which protect the internal organs from any toxic drugs or any toxic substances. So not all the drugs can reach the brain, or not all the drugs can reach placenta. So there are barriers present which prevent the entry of drugs into certain organs, especially the CNS and the placenta. The barrier which is present between the brain tissue and the blood is known as blood-brain barrier. What is the function of BBB, that is blood-brain barrier, is to serve to protect the CNS. So it will protect the CNS and it will not allow all the drugs to reach the CNS. Which drugs will reach the CNS? Only the drugs which are lipid soluble, because the blood brain barrier is made up of it is a bilayer made up of lipids. So any drug which is soluble in lipids, any drug which is lipid soluble, that drug can only enter the CNS. So only lipid soluble drugs can penetrate the blood-brain barrier and produce their action on the CNS. Now there is a very interesting example over here. I hope you all know what is Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's disease, for the treatment of Parkinson's disease, there is a drug which is known as levodopa. Levodopa has to be given for the treatment of Parkinson's disease. Now, Parkinson's disease usually occurs due to deficiency of dopamine in the brain. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter. So, deficiency of dopamine in the brain leads to Parkinson's disease. So, in order to treat Parkinson's disease, the patient needs dopamine. But the problem here is dopamine is not lipid soluble. So if dopamine is given directly, it cannot cross the blood-brain barrier because it is not lipid soluble. Therefore, a precursor of dopamine is given, which is known as levodopa. This levodopa is lipid soluble, so it crosses the blood-brain barrier and enters the brain and changes itself to dopamine. So after going inside the brain, it changes to dopamine, and then dopamine will be available for the treatment of Parkinson's disease. So this is how the blood-brain barrier works and how the drugs are modified in order to enter the brain or produce an action in the CNS. Similarly, we have placental barrier. Now, placental barrier means, from the name you can understand that it is a barrier which is present in the placenta. That means not all drugs can reach the fetus. So placental barrier is also lipoidal in nature. Lipoidal in nature means it is also having a bilayer lipid membrane. So only lipophilic drugs and few non-lipid soluble drugs can cross the placental membrane or placental barrier to some extent. So these are the two important barriers which might affect the distribution of the drugs. The third is the metabolism. Now what is metabolism? Metabolism means nothing but digestion or the chemical alteration of the drug in the body. So the drugs are basically converted to their metabolites. They are broken down to their metabolites, and the metabolites are more effective than the parent compound. So metabolism usually refers to a chemical reaction or a chemical alteration of the drug in the body. Now, who is doing this chemical alteration or who is causing this chemical reaction? The enzymes, the metabolic enzymes which are present in the body, the drug metabolizing enzymes, they are responsible for metabolism of the drug. So in some cases, the parent drug will be inactive. So when the drug is taken in the parent form, it will be inactive. But when it is metabolized, it becomes a active compound. So such drugs are known as prodrugs. Prodrugs are those drugs or those parent drugs which are inactive and they have very little or no biological activity. But after undergoing metabolism, they become active compounds. So the prodrugs are metabolized to pharmacologically active compound. Example is an anti-cancer drug which is known as fluorouracil. Fluorouracil is the parent drug. Fluorouracil is the parent drug. This fluorouracil is inactive. It is converted to fluorouridine monophosphate. This is the active compound or this is the metabolite of fluorouracil. Now this fluorouridine actually has the anti-cancer nature or it is the actual anti-cancer it actually produces the anti-cancer properties. So among all the sites of metabolism, the most common and the primary site of metabolism is the liver. Whereas other organs such as kidneys, intestine, plasma, lungs, etc., they all also are involved in metabolism. But the most important and the primary site is the liver. Now, what are the factors which affect metabolism? Age. Age can affect metabolism. In infants or in small children, they usually lack functional drug metabolizing enzymes. So all the drugs may not be easily metabolized in neonates or premature infants. Similarly, for elderly people also, drugs may not be metabolized very quickly because they have retarded drug metabolism. Next, nutrition. Malnutrition decreases the metabolism because it decreases the enzymes in the body. So there are less number of enzymes, thereby the drug cannot be metabolized properly. Disease condition. If there is a hepatic damage or if there is a liver damage, then what will happen? Because liver is the primary site of metabolism, then metabolizing enzyme will be deficient or drug delivery to the liver may be improper, thereby affecting the metabolism. Gender. Males have higher basal metabolic rate when compared to females. So males might digest or metabolize the drug more quickly when compared to females. In pregnancy, there are increase in the number of plasma proteins. So the drug metabolism may increase because too much plasma proteins are there. Drug is binding to all the plasma proteins and getting distributed and metabolized. So in pregnancy, metabolism will be increased. Next, coming to excretion. So from the name, excretion means what? How the drug is being excreted out of the body. So the passage of systemically absorbed drug. So you can say how the drug is passing out of the body. Which drug? the drug which was systemically absorbed in the body. So excretion of drug and their metabolites can take place through the following routes. Now excretion can be through kidneys, or few drugs are excreted via skin, lungs, alimentary tract, that is the feces, or some drugs are excreted in the milk also. So these are the different routes of excretion. So kidneys, majority of the drugs are excreted via kidneys. That means majority of the drugs are excreted in urine. In the skin, in the form of sweat, few very little drugs are excreted in the form of sweat also. Lungs, few drugs such as general anesthetics, they are also excreted, that is they are exhaled from the lungs. Alimentary tract, so the drugs which are poorly absorbed, they are excreted from the feces. Example are antibiotics such as erythromycin, ampicillin, etc. In the milk also, in the mother's milk also, few drugs will be excreted. So it is very necessary that any drug before it is given to a lactating mother, it has to be taken care and it has to be given only when it is very much necessary, because few drugs they are excreted in the milk and from there they can be taken up by the infant. So excretion of drug into mother's milk depend upon the amount of drug in the blood and the lipid solubility. Again, penicillins and tetracyclines are a class of antibiotics which can be excreted in the milk. So these are the four different pharmacokinetic parameters: the absorption, the distribution, the metabolism, and the excretion, and the different factors which affect the absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion criteria. Now in the last slide we will just see a few definitions which can be used in our next classes. The first is the clearance. Clearance means, from the English language you can understand, clearance means something to remove. Clearance sale. So you might see in the malls or anywhere they will write clearance sale. That means they want to remove the stuff from the shop. Similarly, here also clearance means the rate at which the active drug is removed from the body. ml per minute. How many ml of the drug is removed in 1 minute? That is known as clearance. Volume of distribution. So how much drug, the distribution of drug between the plasma and the rest of the body, how the drug is being distributed. What is the volume of drug being distributed from the blood to rest of the body? That is known as volume of distribution. The third is biological half-life. It is also known as T half. So biological half-life means after how much time half of the drug will be excreted, or the drug concentration in the blood will be reduced to half. So biological half-life determines the actual time for which the drug can act. So the time taken for the blood concentration of the drug to reduce to half. So few drugs are having 1 hour as their biological half-life. Few drugs will have 6 hours as their biological half-life. So after 6 hours, half of the drug will be gone from the blood, or half of the drug will be excreted from the blood. That is known as biological half-life. Loading dose and maintenance dose. Loading means initial dose. Maintenance means to maintain. So loading dose is nothing but the dose which might be a single dose, or it might be many quick doses, many quick repeated doses. which has to be given in the beginning to attain a target concentration. So, if a target concentration of the drug has to be attained to produce an action, initial loading dose has to be given. So, loading dose can be given altogether, that is a single dose, or few quickly repeated doses has to be given to the patient to attain a concentration to produce a action. Similarly, maintenance dose. So if the drug has to be present in the body for a longer period of time, then a particular concentration of the drug has to be maintained in the body at a constant rate. So seeing the elimination of the drug or keeping in mind the clearance of the drug, the maintenance dose has to be decided so that always the same concentration of the drug remains in the body. The dose that is to be repeated at specified intervals to maintain the same concentration by balancing the elimination. So keeping in mind how much drug is cleared from the body, that much, not that much, but that decide the maintenance dose, or that decides how much concentration of the drug has to be taken into the body in order to maintain a constant concentration of drug in the body. So that is the loading dose and the maintenance dose. So these are the few definitions which you have to remember, which can be used in the future classes. So I hope it is all clear for everyone.